Well, hello people, and welcome back to part 35 of Illium, our modded Cities 1 build. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Wonderful scenes last episode, working on some rural industrial coastline to help us meet some much needed power needs. So now finally we can enjoy some nighttime cinematics without the lights turning off, which is a huge improvement. However, in today's episode we're heading back to the other side of the downtown, and over the next few episodes really completing downtown Illium. I want this project boxed off now. It feels like we've been working on it for 1,000 years. And in our return to the downtown area, I think I'd love to develop perhaps an older municipal centre. Politics, planning, and other municipal services also took place here in the old city centre, the old town centre when Illium was still small, before the massive glass sky rises on the waterfront were brought up a few years ago. So very much a old historical centre. And with the recent release of the Brutalist pack, I can see that playing a pretty heavy role here today, especially in and amongst the old regentrified industry that we're building there today as well. But a happy Monday to you all, and welcome back to Illium, everyone. So starting today's build, we should have some really wonderful views, because we've got the whole of the downtown to see from here during today. With still major massive death waves happening across Illium. We've been having these the last few episodes. I think we're just in the population turnover era at the minute. Just every episode there's constant death waves everywhere. It is fine, like they are getting cleared up, there's just a lot of death at once, but we have been doing a lot of plopping, so it is I guess expected. But let's turn our attention up to today's road network. So I think I'm going to downgrade everyone. Do we have cycling here on this couplet? No, this is just regular old couplet road. Which is fine. I'm not too bothered about this. Let's upgrade this. Now we are going to lose a little bit of IMT there, but I don't mind that. And likewise with this one as well. Now with this highway system, I'm probably not going to do it today because I don't know what's sitting on the other side of it yet. But I think there's a very strong possibility that this is going to become recessed sunken highway, possibly with keys either side of it. And then again, it is already kind of recessed by the land, isn't it? I wonder how much terraforming opportunity there is here to further sink the highway. Just have a little look. Okay. Turns out perhaps quite a lot of opportunity. Can I keep that going? Where do you join the hillside? What about there? Okay, I think we're going to do that then. I think we'll recess the whole road network down, just up to that layer. Smooth it out a little bit here. So I think we'll run with that, and we'll also do the same the other side as well. I might introduce a little bit of a key wall here. We have just had sunken infrastructure feature as one of our monthly build-off competitions in the Discord, which you can come and join us for down below if you're interested. Wonderful. So this really opens up what I mentioned at the start of the episode, which is going to be kind of the old municipal centre, right? Back where the Illium government was run from, all the council, municipal services, public transport informations, planning, anything that really sort of involves a city centre or a town hall. This is where it all used to happen before that place existed, right? I think some old Brutalist buildings are going to work tremendously well to help us bring this vibe in. I'm wondering if I can bring in, and again, I want everything to be aligned, I think, to this axis. So I'm going to draw that in, straight down. We'll obviously refine it. Roughly find a halfway point. We can just do this by measuring what we're like from here to here. That's 62 units, so 31. Pretty much this tile here is our halfway point in the middle. Splendid. And then we'll use one of the new Brutalist packs, which of course don't forget you can grab down below on Instant Gaming for very cheap. Now it does help directly support the channel. So I want to pull this down a little bit. Now is this the one I want to go for? We have the Brutalist Theatre. I wouldn't mind a couple of them. We've used this one, the Stack Towers. Brutalist Clover Building. Brutalist Office. I mean, there is one literally called the Brutalist City Hall, which is very much what I want to use it for today. I mean, maybe three. Maybe three, because we did also get the Brutalist Plaza in the park menu, didn't we? There's a few with these. We got 1, 2, and 3. Now, we've already used a couple of these. This one here. So I think that one. Sunken Circle Plaza. That's what we're going for here. So I think certainly respecting the circle, for lack of a better phrase, is going to be something I really want to lean into. So let's grab our tree-lined road, and I will keep it tree-lined. Then we'll just run this in a little circle. Road guideline snapping's going to mess with us here. And can we do... Tell you what we will do is bring this node directly in the middle of the center of the asset. And then that should do us... We're going to have to do 6 curves, are we? Yeah, 6 seems about right, doesn't it? So we'll do that there. And then with this one, I'm not going to curve it back into there. I want to actually have it come off on a little angle like this. I think that's going to look really fancy. We get some old housing around here as well. Some vanilla and Brooklyn and Queens, I imagine, will heavily complement the Brutalist vibes. We'll have a little talk about that in a second. Although I do want to be careful with massive population expansions because the more I add, the slower Illium's simulation becomes, so I might end up re-coming out some high density buildings just to function as something else. Commercial, maybe. Okay. And then with these assets, I want to have my city hall. How far can we get off the road here? Pretty far. Let's go ahead and just pull the asset a little more in the middle. Now it is also suffering from a little bit of treeage, which is fine. We can bob those off. Just remove them all though. I mean, that's fine. I have anarchy. I can very easily just add my own trees back in. We'll upgrade the tree on the road itself, of course. What's the most brutalist Soviet tree? There isn't many really, is there? Maybe pine? That looks a little ridiculous there, doesn't it? Maybe just linden. Let's not overthink it, right? And then in the middle, I would like to run with maybe just a single oak or something. Yeah, okay. I'll do that then. I'm going to bob the trees off that. Okay, and then with the other buildings, I think I'm fairly happy. I think it's almost a little imbalanced. I think I might move this one up front and have this one on the right side that way. We can kind of have the 2 larger buildings off to the left and the right. With the office building up center and front, which should all really lend itself very nicely to lots of path mapping. And I mean, that's such a shame that's not a snapping node. It looks like it is, isn't it? But it's fine because we can make it as such. So let's come out from... Let's stay here. I'm going to feed that straight the way through to the other side. Possibly even elevating that over the road because we're playing with that land recession now. Then yeah, we can even see where there's other little doors and entrances on the rest of the Brutalist buildings. So we'll have that run all the way through in pretty much all different instances. Can probably find one. I love the stairs on these buildings. Absolutely amazing. I'm really looking, for lack of a better phrase, I'm looking for back door. There's a door there, isn't there? Okay. So we'll come out here. Angle snapping will mess with us a little bit. And then, yeah, you just go straight the way through as well. Cool. If you are in vanilla, you could just do a box around these assets using the collision, which would give you a similar sort of effect. And then also directly out here, connect onto the pathway, and then emerge out of the back where there's likely to be another road. But this will just give me one giant continual walkable plaza space, which I think will add an immense amount to seeing so many people. Yeah, seeing so many people just walk around these buildings. I've spoken many times, especially in Illium, about the impact of walkable concrete space in particular. There you go. And of course we'll have a lot of landscaping around here. Oh, look at that, he even actually just walked onto the asset from the pathway. I really like that. That helps me a lot. Although you're walking across the grass. Please don't do that. Please use the paths provided. Which hopefully they will here. Okay, I'm happy with that though. It's going to work, isn't it? Sweet, so this gives us our brutalist town centre here, and I do want some extra roads around this, of course, so it's not just that. And I'm going to use the non-parking roads for this, I think. And then just a simple expansion, to be honest. Let's just map this out here. This can come down into there. Am I likely to have houses this close to the highway? How loud is it here? Like, not even remotely. I mean, that's fine. We have trees and can have sound barriers here as well, especially if we're going to downgrade it. And again, am I going to downgrade? I'm just thinking in the spirit of saving nodes, like we spoke about earlier, or last episode, with that other mounting couplet system over there. Look at all the death over here, man. Is there a graveyard full? No, he's still alright. They still have 10 hearses out. There's just... yeah, it's just some death. I always panic when I see this. But we do have hearses in the city, I think. Where are you guys at? Yeah, here we go. There's a hearse. It just takes them a while to get up here. Might just sneak another little death care building on this side of the river for right now, just to help them clear it up. There's a load dead in the Central Park as well. Do you have any death care here, actually? Yeah, I put one in, didn't I? 2, actually. Yeah, there's just a lot. A lot of dead, as it turns out. So, returning to the idea of our expanded road network, I'm going to bring this one across, which looks like it'll fit quite nicely into 2 grids there, I think. Now we are going to be messed about with a little bit of height discrepancies here. We're just going to correct everyone to the height of the buildings. That shouldn't be too much of a dip down. Yeah, it's fine, we can work with it. Now with the bridge here, I think there's certainly an eye for centralization. Would you look at that? It even sits perfectly in the grid tiles opposite. Get rid of these trees here. So we'll have that there. Obviously falls into bridge as you cross over, which certainly needs to be brought up, which we will do. And then this can kind of continue. I think to probably become, again, this is another instance where it's probably worth bringing this couplet down into a single network, which we could just have a little look at this now. This is definitely future development planning. So, cut all this away. As much as I love Teddy's maps, he has gone perhaps a little ham with the couplet systems here. So, Node Police will be very happy with this. I'm just going to trim all this back. So the new road hierarchy will form from this. And this will become the arterial of this area. Basically following the same pathway that couplet was already following. But just down into a single network, essentially halving the number of nodes used. As I know I've said multiple times that Illium will be fine on node count, but there is always a possibility that it's not. So I think now would probably be a good point to just start saving a few nodes, maybe. Just the occasional one, that's all. Put it up a little bit as well. I realise that's obviously horrendous, but it does give them a connection back in. We'll redevelop that in the future. I'm just doing this now because I want to accommodate this road coming out of the town centre from here. Which I'd love this arterial, kind of the main linking point to that. So, just going to drag those down a little bit. Same with that node there as well. Just move those little awkward bits out. And then this road will come down. I think pretty much to, let's say about there. And then come to a road guideline and a curve. Hook that in. And then we'll keep these two slit lanes running something like this. Again, possibly even downgraded into slower non-parking mode. Because I'm almost sure at this point I am going to remove the highway roads from this bit of the city and just have it as another couplet system. Okay, so this way the arterial structure can carry on. I have just noticed I am using cycle roads here, so possible upgrading into median with trees. And then we'll do a little tree upgrade here. And then of course we can form more builds of this arterial structure. But it does give us that very satisfying crawl as the main arterial kind of breaks down into different lanes. And there's probably even some justification for asymmetry here, but I'm not going to do it. That should be fine. I'm actually even going to node control this open a little bit as well. Not so much the orange one though. Probably a intersection that wants to be marked here. But that's my general concept with it. We'll also do traffic lights while we're here as well. We don't need this many. Let's have these two turned off. And that one as well. Okay. So that should give us some decent connectivity in. Especially once we've got people living over this side of the highway as well. It means they won't constantly overload the couplet if they have these little ways back and forth, which is probably an idea we'll keep integrating as we keep crossing this road as well. You guys gave me some nice suggestions for this area too. A lot of ideas to actually look at Madeira in Portugal, which I'll certainly have a look at. So thank you for all those ideas. We've also got pillar in the road here as well. We'll fix that today. That's great. And then the rest of the road network here. Let's just move into a little time lapse here for propping up the rest of the little suburban roads here. Just want to have a look at the terrain up the hill. Now to plan in another road, am I going to build atop this mountain? Because I think if we are, I think we're on basically the only way we can get up it, which is probably this slope here. Maybe up into this valley as well, I suppose. I'm not sure. I think the obvious build is an observatory up here, isn't it? But I'm not sure. Let me know. I mean, there's more mountains to build on over here as well. But otherwise, I might just tease up a local road that comes down from this way. And then we'll just leave ourselves the possibility of snaking highway road here. Might not ever fulfill that build, because I might just simply not build on top of those mountains. But we'll just leave ourselves the option in case we ever do want to head up that way. That is how they can get up there. And then the rest of the road network, I just want to hold residential around here. So we can map out those big block patterns to get that in. So just some simple suburban roads for us, also hooked it into the couplet system here as well. And I think probably Brooklyn and Queens is our most appropriate residential solution here. Yeah, I think I actually might just want to run a little test here. So let's get the brutalist buildings in the background. Then we can just, definitely not that one, it's a little bit too art deco for me. Just a little test as to what is actually going to work here. I think there's definitely scope for a lot of the vanilla base game stuff here, I think. Without even touching Brooklyn and Queens, there's a lot of very brutalist structures here. More concrete the better in this instance. And I wouldn't mind some of these, but I really want the white brick variant. Can I reset these? Yeah. Definitely the white one I want. The red brick is a little too Brooklyn looking for me. And it's this combination I want, you know. Lots of grey, whites, and steely aesthetics. So I'll probably stay away from bright towers like this. But a lot of this stuff, I think will go quite nice with the Brutalist Center, won't it? Especially as we line it up around the outside here. Okay, that'll be good enough for me then. We have a nice little residential palette. We'll bring those in. And then just before we move into some form of detailing time-lapse here, I'd also like to consider the positioning of 2 ponds on the approach into the town. Yes, I think so. Possible flooding risks against having it here, but okay, how much more do we need to clear that tower as well? Yeah, it's still quite low down, isn't it, that bridge? Not tower even. Yes, and then with these, I'll probably do another similar path design with some pathways, just dirt ones emanating from the bridges. Something like that, maybe. And we could do another pathway over here, but that's probably a little overkill, to be honest. Yes, and then lots of landscaping to do, pretty much on all sides of the Brutalist town centre here. And then surround the rest of it with Brutalist looking architecture. Just residential houses, some slightly more depressing detailing, I think, and some more run-down vibes, especially with so many old industrial lines also running through the area. Isn't that fun? This is the first time we've seen this train line, by the way. First time we've seen this in action. Actually coming into the rail warehouse. What are you delivering here? Plastic. Are you collecting it? Where are you coming from? Warehouse, the rail connection. You're coming back, are you? Ignore all the warnings. We're still in that death wave. Yeah, there's not a vast amount of plastic in there. I feel like this is probably better being a transfer station than a warehouse. But my original point being is lots of somewhat depressing detailing to be had amongst all this old industrial rail infrastructure. You know, that was once thought of as this beautiful architectural marvel before, you know, the capitalist high rises in the city centre and the financial district essentially made this place null and void. Only kind of the old dudes continue working here now, you know. So that's the vibe we'll run with as we turn our attention to detailing our Brutalist town centre. So grab yourself some snacks and we'll be right back with detailing time-lapse. Alright guys, let's take a look at what is now the completed southeastern part of the downtown here. Just a moment to admire the crawl. I think easily one of the most interesting looking areas we've built out here. From the start of a low density sprawl here, which will continue across the highway, up to a medium crawl, to the medium density, which then forms a spine leading along the Central Park, further up into main city centre, and of course the Central Park plazas, the zoo, the Hilltop Park stuff, the factory over here, the gentrification. Each kind of individual distinguishable builds that's made up this really weird landscape. Remember when we first came over here, and even building the factory, I had no idea what was going to sit across it. But now that it's all in, I'm really happy with it. And like I said, probably one of the most unique looking areas we've ever made on the channel, I think. Which is so nice for me to just still take so much enjoyment from piecing this sort of stuff together. I adore it. Isn't it so much fun? So just a big admiration for the view here in the crawl as this area is completed. Very much looking forward to the same thing next episode when we fill this in to get the same visual, right? That completed crawl from one side to the other. There are still some spaces here. Planning to have some fun with these in live streams or an episode, because there's a few spaces like this dotted around. I'm also thinking the same thing up here too. I've left this side of the road free because I'm planning something a bit more elaborate around this massive road emanating from the bow tie intersection, which I have changed the lanes here. Because we upgraded to tram and cycle road through the middle, we did lose some turning lanes, which actually lost the functionality of the interchange. But it does work now. And speaking of, I've also sent the bus down into the town centre here as well, turning right. And I actually want to enjoy the first person perspective of this, so we'll take the bus down the hill together here. Which I think is a tremendously welcome drive down into such a unique area. Been looking forward to doing this build for a while. It actually gives me a lot of inspiration for workers and resources, to be totally honest. That game can look really incredible, paying attention to kind of orientation, slight lines, because the simulation's so impressive. My tree is snapping. Do I have tree anarchy or something in tree control not set right there? I'll sort that out. But yeah, it's so dramatic, isn't it? And actually makes me want to play workers and resources. I think I need to play that game almost in a creative mode, because we could have a lot of Soviet symmetrical socialist brutalism fun, I think, from an entire city design perspective. Just of course we could attempt a asset heavy Eastern European build in CS1, to be fair, or 2 equally as much as well now. Especially if you take kind of a European house in the foreground with this kind of local, old school municipal centre with much older commercial, much less malls and glass frontage around here. Right, and those big cube residential Soviet housing blocks in the background in orbit of this centre here. I also added the metro in, of course, which you probably noticed. This runs back to the metro station over in the factory, which is here. And of course that connects into the downtown transit hub, which we'll take an opportunity to follow, actually, while we're here. In hindsight, I wish I'd have taken this metro overground here. I know we have one just to the right of it. What's that? Plenty of activity here with buses. Loads of people hanging out at the plazas too. And this goes, see if I can trace it. I'm pretty sure it comes under here, doesn't it, into the university. Very nice. People moving through both sides of this station now in orbit of the downtown, all through the campus as well. But we did also have suggestions of what to do here, actually, which we'll do now whilst I remember. Is to add in the stair keys over here. Or at least in some instances, I think possibly the 2 front ones. Wonderful, so that'll give them stair access up onto the key as well, which of course they will use those keys, especially with the path connection back and forth. And then that metro goes somewhere else. We'll actually track it because I want to see just how far it's emanating from today's build. Yes, comes underground, and then back into the very central station here, which we will take some time to check out. 85 at this one. Now these were the 2 placed very close together. 257 at that one. 520 at the Metro monorail train hub. And only 962 at the Glassbox station. These have stayed pretty free. Looks like we changed the model of this train a few episodes ago. 428, and I think we just caught it on a quiet moment, have we? on cycles between trains. Here's an intercity, which is dropping nobody off. Why? Why is no one on the train? I'm looking forward to actually installing some local long distance trains. We don't currently have. What actually do we have now? The 25 tiles unlock it. I think it's 81 tile area, isn't it? Yeah, it is. What's this one here? Which we will wait to do that. We'll spend an episode likely when we develop probably this train yard. We come and do this build. Which will likely be more industry all the way through here with so much train infrastructure involved. We'll probably make that connection then because we'll have passenger trains passing through the area, and then of course they'll carry on through the port of Francis and the town of such as well. I mean pretty much all the way down here into the build we did last week as well. So we'll all start seeing it interconnect in the very long distance soon. We'll be able to take a first person tour from the central train station all the way out here. Through Francis and then down through basically around the entire coast, which will be pretty spectacular. That'll be probably the best train tour we're likely to make, I think, because that'll be such a crafted visual through this whole district. Of course, once it's finished, a while away yet. But beyond that, to go off on a massive tangent there, I'm a huge lover of this little transit plaza. We'll also check out the ridership on the metro as well here, without accidentally opening the budget. 288, which is nice for a local station. People gathering at the bus as well. We'll just get a sense of scurry here. Very nice. So this serves as the new end of line for that bus, which then actually heads back to the airport, don't forget, from here. Back over the Central Park Hill. So some really nice transit coming in. Around this we have commercial placed in a park over here, which is actually connected to this road. Span around with and move it. But most people are actually walking into this, so it can sit kind of just within the park space. And if anything, I could have afforded more concrete here, but I've tried to leave it as green as possible. Especially as I'm also diminishing in density through this build. In the wider scheme of things as well. I'm happy for a bit more green to come in, because it kind of helps with that. From the orbital pattern as well. So I really love how these little kind of denser greens, forests and overgrown areas are starting to appear. As the suburb takes over from much more of this visual, you know. So we'll start hopefully looking a bit like a satellite image soon. As we start coming into all these little pops of green. A lot of fun to craft that visual for me anyway. With this, I like the idea of the fact, you know, it was once kind of landscaped green space and green belt. But, you know, as this area has aged and people have moved onwards and outwards, it's just been left to overgrow. And it was just a green space where you could hang out with maybe a picnic blanket under a tree with a book. And now it's just, nature's reclaimed it and it's just sat by the dusty old highway. It's some really nice viewpoints, especially with these new parks present in the area. I'm like thoroughly enjoying it. See them all from here, right? Really interesting part of the city, this. To just enjoy it for a hot second. Through the residential districts, there's many a park and car parking available here. Just high density patterns and districts to complement the brutalist vibes we have in the centre of the build. There's parking in between these as well. And just a nice little density spike, another relatively interesting way to use high density residential, which we've discovered in the last few episodes. A little gym in the base of some flat fusing here as well. Brooklyn and Queens, vanilla, the usual suspects involved here. A child swing facing directly onto an active metro line. It's an interesting orientation. We'll leave this in its character building, alright? Character building, everyone. The people, the kids in this suburb are a strong world. And also, related or otherwise, rarely make it past age 5. In here, more towers of varying kind bring us back up to the central park. Which again, I've got something in mind for this. Definitely like an overly topped, maybe double plaza landscaped park here to complement the bow tie intersection as we complete the downtown in this next phase. So that should be an awful lot of fun. Look forward to that. And then over here, just our low density sprawl. This is the single story home apartment building, residential building, sorry. that we've used many times in Find It over the years. There's green cities, mid-century modern, vanilla, European suburbia, King Leno stuff. That there's loads of different low homes in here, but just a nice mix, which again gives us a little bit of, well, what will be the start of a continuing outer-lying sprawl. This will continue across the highway up the hill as we just come into some really rich low density vibes out here. Maybe some gated communities and private rich people marinas down in these little alcoves in the foothills of Illium, as we kind of again take a moment to discover a new landscape, pretty much like we did with the Green Beach 2 episodes ago now. We're kind of discovering these new viewpoints that we'll be enjoying and developing over the next few episodes as we move into 25 tiles. It's always a lot of fun, isn't it? It's almost like starting a new city again, which I'll probably clickbait you all with the title at some point on that, so everyone brace yourselves for some incoming clickbait on the channel. And then also added in some little statues, plazas, expanded concrete, multi-story, and yeah, I also added this in the time lapse, didn't I? This is the art museum from the Shops of Shibuya DLC content creator pack. Very brutalist, isn't it? Thought it went quite nicely with the brutalist buildings in the central circular plaza here. Then also surface painted the central corner as well, giving us some really nice pavement shapes and patterns with a little bit of node controller. Great stuff. And as always, an incredible amount of fun to still play City Skylines 1. I absolutely love it. Really one of my favourite episodes of the entire series, playing with the Brutalist Plaza, especially with the builds around it to kind of really polish off this little corner that we had left standing out. And we'll do the same, the other side of the hill again next episode, as we round out pretty much the end of downtown Illium. I think next episode will mark that point of us saying, okay, downtown is now completed, all of its districts are in, and everyone is happy with the result, which I very much am, and I hope you are as well. An enormous shout out to the YouTube members and patrons bankrolling these videos, with a roll call to our golden patron eggs: Casino, Spartan Angel, Michael W, Wolfo, Phoenix MD, Jamin, Great T, Bryce Johnson, Sean, and Trevor Larson. Thanks so much indeed for all of your incredible support, guys. You are all clinically insane. If you want to get involved in that, links down below are there if you wish to help support the work. Otherwise, hang around for the cinematics and I'll shut up and leave it there. And thank you all so much for watching. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day.